Welcome to the Deal Making Podcast. This is the place where we talk about real estate deals here in Merced, California. I'm your host, Dan Del Real. I sell buildings in Merced, California. I'm a real estate professional that's affiliated with KW Commercial, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Del Real & Company. I started this podcast as a way to inform, add value, and engage my audience as I'm on my journey to build the best possible commercial real estate company that I can build. So this podcast is about deals, but it's also much more than that. This is a place where we tell stories and share best practices and strategies that you can apply to your life and work. Now, during this first season, you're going to hear a lot about deals that are local to Merced, big deals, significant deals, and what's the impact to you, the local community here in Merced. We're planning on releasing an episode a month. We're taking a slow approach to putting out content, partly because, it's a busy time both at home and work in the fourth quarter. I have 2 birthdays that I just celebrated in September, and then we roll right into the holidays, which goes by pretty fast. Also, traditionally, the fourth quarter is the busiest time of the year for commercial real estate sales. You have a lot of people, both private and institutional money, looking to close deals by the end of the year. So there's a lot going on. Now, the other reason we're taking a slow approach is between episodes, we're also iterating. We're making changes. We're trying to figure out how can we make the next episode better. So, for example, this episode has music, custom music, which I'm really excited about, partly because the podcast is getting better, but also the music featured on the podcast was created by a good friend of mine, Carlos esnine Ayala. And so it means a lot to be able to collaborate with a good friend of mine, make the podcast better, and just make it better and better each episode. So in the first season, you're going to hear mostly from me, but in future seasons, expect to hear from different guests on the show. I know a lot of people that are much smarter than me, both at the local level and national level. So whether it's, someone local who's doing something interesting, or somebody at KW Commercial or CCIM, or anybody for that matter, expect to hear from different people in the future. But first, we really got to figure our stuff out. So after we figure things out in season 1, expect to hear from many more interesting people in season 2. All right, let's get to the episode. All right, so over the years, one of the things that I've heard said many, many times is Merced described as Mer-DEAD, meaning there's nothing to do here. There's nothing going on. There's nothing happening in the future. The place is dead. So growing up, historically, the knock on Merced is it's a dead place. Well, that has changed. It seems like overnight, Merced has come alive. Merced is growing fast. For example, over the past week, we saw this huge event in downtown Merced called Burgers and Brews. And right down, a couple blocks down the road, Felipe Esparza was in town doing a comedy show. And a weekend ago, the Merced County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce put on an event. And then the week before that, it was the supermarket. And on and on and on. It's like every week there's an event happening that brings the town alive. Tons of people are coming out. It's like a party that never stops. And this next weekend, there's going to be a world-famous DJ Silos, that's coming into Merced. He's going to be spinning out the Partisan and, more events. That's just kind of really a 2-week snapshot. So there's a lot happening in Merced. Merced is not dead. Merced has come to life. Another example, here are some projects that have come to life in Merced that have either been recently completed or in the pipeline. All right, so the El Capitan Hotel. This is a 114-room hotel project with a total estimated cost of $15 million that has completed. The Tioga Apartments. Over 70 apartments were renovated. Again, another $15 million project. The Mainzer Restaurant and Entertainment Center is another multi-million-dollar project. The UC Merced Downtown Center. This is a $45 million office building for UC Merced in downtown Merced. The Merced 2020 project. This is a $1.3 billion expansion project that has recently completed. The ACE Train. This is a $1.6 billion Valley Rail expansion project with $400 million carved out for Merced. 1635 M Street. This is the building formerly known as the Bitwise Building, a co-working space, another multi-million dollar project in downtown Merced. 355 West Main Street. This is under renovation with retail on the ground floor. The retail space is 100% leased out, and there's a complete renovation going on upstairs. 335 West Main Street. This is Joystick, a recently renovated barcade and restaurant with plans for future expansion. The Port of LA at Castle. This is a $50 million project that just received funding. Merced Mall, currently under contract and expected to close escrow within the next 30 days. This is huge. Brand new ownership for the Merced Mall means that you can expect a lot of changes to happen in the near future. 403 West Main Street, there's a brand new IMAX theater that's currently being planned and is expected to complete by the end of 2023 or beginning of 2024. This is a $1.5 million project. The Sears Building, recently sold reportedly for $5.5 million. It's 100% leased. That's 90,000 square feet of brand new retailers that are coming to Merced. UC Merced has a line item in the state budget for $100 million annually. And more recently, the Merced Promise Student Housing Project. That's a joint venture between the Merced Junior College and the University of California to help students who are transferring from the JC to the UC to transfer and have on-campus student housing at a controlled cost. And on and on and on. These are just a few projects. These have recently been completed or announced. Merced is growing like crazy. All right, so when you stop and you take a look at all of these projects, and you take a step back, it's kind of shocking, the amount of stuff that's happening here in Merced. And, there's a different feel in the air. It feels different to be here. And so, what's driving this growth? What's driving all these projects? Well, a big part of what's happening, you can trace it back to the University of California campus. And so this is the deal that we're going to unpack today, the deal that dramatically changed Merced forever. And so let's unpack that. All right, so the University of California Merced campus is the newest and 10th University of California campus. It opened in 2005 with an estimated 1,000 students. Since then, in 2023, it's estimated to be about 10,000 students. Now, UC Merced is projected to add another 5,000 students by 2030. The California state budget has allocated $100 million annually to support the growth of UC Merced. UC Merced is the fastest growing public research university in the country and has the potential to grow to 25,000 to 30,000 students. So there's going to be a lot of growth for years and years to come. Now, one of the recent milestones that's completed is the Merced 2020 project. The Merced 2020 project is a 1.2 million square foot addition built out in 3 phases from 2016 to 2020. So with the UC Merced project, it essentially doubled the size of UC Merced in 4 years. The design and construction budget was $1.3 billion and included 13 buildings, 1,700 campus beds, and a variety of other buildings and sports fields. It's estimated to increase spending in Merced by $200 million per year. So that's a massive, massive project. $1.3 billion invested here in Merced has created a ripple effect. You're starting to, and that's a big part of why you're seeing all this growth happen here. Now, what can you expect from UC Merced in the future? If you're looking forward, think about the Virginia Smith Trust. The Virginia Smith Trust is essentially a city that's planned in the area just south of the main UC Merced campus. This is a 7,000 acre development. There are plans for 4,000 dwelling units and 862,000 square feet of retail and office space. That's massive. Construction is planned to begin as early as 2025, with the first phase of delivery as early as 2026. Now, things don't always happen as quickly as we expect they might, but the potential for buildings going vertical, being delivered with occupants by 2026 is pretty exciting. That's right around the corner. So if you live here, work here, or thinking about investing in Merced, as you look back on, UC Merced from its inception to beginning back in 2005, all the way up to the progress that's made, here in 2023, and then you look forward to everything that's going to happen in the future, here are 3 things to consider. 1, understand that the real estate market is local. So if you're tuning into the news and they're espousing, doom and gloom headlines, they're most likely talking about the real estate market as a whole. They're generalizing. They're not talking about Merced. Remember that the media does more to terrify than clarify. They're in the business of getting your attention and attracting eyeballs. So take what they say with a grain of salt, and remember that real estate markets are hyper-local. The other thing to consider is take a long-term perspective on Merced. Merced is what I call a hidden gem market. So what's a hidden gem market? Well, think about it from a national retailer's perspective. National retailers pay attention to migration patterns. They want to go where people are going. And so there's a reason why you hear about places like Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, the Silicon Valley, Los Angeles. This is where national retailers want to be. Well, what do these places have in common? They have a fast-growing population. They have a highly educated workforce. They have high income earners. So a hidden gem market is a market that has these characteristics, but isn't talked about in the news. So Merced is what I consider a hidden gem market, but that's slowly starting to change. If you pay attention and you look for the headlines, Merced is starting to make the news on a national level and in a positive way. So that's slowly changing. So the secret is starting to get out. The third thing to consider is look for buying opportunities over the next 12 to 18 months. A famous quote by Warren Buffett is, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy only when others are fearful." That's definitely the perspective to take as we wind down 2023 and move into 2024 and 2025. Whenever there's change in the market, it always creates opportunity. So going back to the pandemic, if you look at the last 4 years, there's definitely been a lot of change, and there's definitely a lot of opportunity on the horizon. In fact, if you project forward, by the end of 2025, it's projected there are $1.5 trillion of commercial loans that are coming due. Now, hopefully you understand how that impacts you from a real estate and investment standpoint, so you could take advantage of the opportunity that's on the horizon instead of missing out. All right, that's all we have for today's episode, but we want to hear from you. What do you think about Merced? Are there any other deals or projects that you're interested in learning about? Are there any interesting people that you'd like us to talk to? Do you have a strategy for taking advantage of real estate opportunities? And if any of this brought you value today, make sure that you find us on social media and subscribe to this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.